Hi, guys. Welcome back. My name's Lois, and I'm coming to you from channel Ponderings of the Pre-Retired. Really happy to have you back, and really excited and curious too to talk about the topic of sleep and just how sleep changes as we get older. I've really noticed that in my own life. And I'm going to assume that probably at least some of you have at times struggled with sleep and getting proper sleep and having a good sleep routine. So, really want to touch on that today. I'm planning to give you at least 7 tips on how to improve your sleep through just different actions and lifestyle changes. So, really excited to dig into this with you. Like I said, I started noticing my sleep changing probably in my mid 50s. I'm 62 now. Probably the last 5, 6 years, really noticing changes in my sleep. So, I'm just really curious, wanted to dig into that, and found that a lot of this is pretty common with us as we age, just based on part of the aging process. But there are some things that we can do to improve and to look at what interventions we can implement to get better sleep. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I don't sleep well, my whole day is just thrown off. Going back to some of the reasons why we sometimes have difficulty with sleep, that some of this is just part of the normal aging process, but some of it could go back to our health and overall well being. If we're having aches and pains, if we're having different types of illnesses, or even different types of medications could be affecting our ability to sleep and rest and get the proper restful sleep that we need. So, of course, that would be something you would want to check in with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, just full disclosure and making that disclaimer right out of the gate. Please do not take this as medical advice. Always make sure you're talking to your doctor about any difficulties you're having as far as your physical health is concerned, because that's going to be your best source of information for that. The other thing that sometimes can create sleep problems is our well being when it comes to our mental health. And I don't know about any of you, but I know if I'm having a bad day, if my anxiety has been triggered for some reason or another, or I'm just having a really stressful day, that definitely can affect my sleep at night. And I'll go to bed and those thoughts will still be kind of racing. I'll be having some thinking or mulling over a situation that may have occurred over the course of the day. And that just means and makes me aware that I really need to take care of those types of things that might be triggering me before I try to get into bed. And I understand sometimes life situations and circumstances happen. We're not able to resolve them before we go to bed. And I get that. And the longer you know me, you'll know that I've faced situations that were much more long term than being able to just fix it before bed. And we'll be talking more about some of those coping skills that we can utilize. But if we're able to, let's really try to address those things that are creating stress and anxiety for us before we go into bed to try to go to sleep. So, mental health conditions and stress management can play a role in some of the reasons why we're having problems with sleep. Also, just our overall habits. Let's face it, we are creatures of habit, right? And especially as we get older, we have a tendency to do the same things or similar things day in and day out. It's just part of who we are. Routines and patterns and habits, they provide a structure for us, a sense of security and stability. But sometimes those habits can also throw our sleep off. So we want to be careful with some of the habits that we are implementing or creating in our lives. Like, for instance, I found for myself, if I take a nap too late in the day, because at times when I get off of work, I'm just exhausted. I'm a therapist. So all day I talk with people and I work through problems that they're experiencing. I celebrate their successes. I think I mentioned in an earlier video, I am an addictions therapist. And so I work with patients who have alcohol and drug addiction, and their lives can be like a roller coaster, especially in active addiction and early recovery. And so at the end of the day, I'm not physically exhausted because I sit and talk with people all day. But at the end of the day, I am mentally exhausted and I'm emotionally exhausted. And sometimes I have compassion fatigue. I've been listening to some of the most horrific stories and situations of trauma and abuse. And so by the end of the day at 5 o'clock, I am just really exhausted. And so sometimes I'll lay down and take a nap. And that's the worst thing for my sleep, because then when I'm trying to go to sleep a few hours later for my nighttime sleep, I struggle with going to sleep and or staying asleep. Watching those habits, those things that we're doing, what I need to do and what I've learned to do when I get done with work is to try to create habits that bring peace and serenity, not things that are going to deny what I have experienced over the course of my day in my work, but give me a break from that, not through sleep, but maybe make a cup of coffee and go sit out on the deck and watch the world go by and listen to the birds. And nowadays, look for butterflies on my flowers and things like that. So, things that feed my soul and don't deny the difficult day that I just had. But also, if I nap that late in the day and I continue that habit, it's going to come back to bite me later on that night. Some of the sleep issues that we experience as we age are insomnia, which is going to bed and not being able to go to sleep, not being able to stay asleep. Some people have different forms of apnea, sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, maybe something that people are experiencing where their legs twitch or they shake, they can't keep their legs still, and then just changes in our circadian rhythm altogether. Early sleeping, desiring to go to sleep earlier, and then waking up earlier. So just natural circadian rhythm changes as we age. So that is pretty normal for us as well, and we're navigating that. So some of these things are normal aging processes. Some of them are habits and things that we could change. And I want to get to what you've been waiting for, some tips, some lifestyle changes, and things we could do to improve our sleep. One is, again, looking at your routine. What is your daily routine? How do you start to get ready to go to sleep? What are you doing before you're going to bed and laying down? Some things to consider and look out for: limiting our blue screen time. So, limiting the amount of time that we're on our phone, on our computers, and even watching TV before we go to bed. And I know some people like to even have the TV on when they go to bed, but maybe looking at what you're watching. Is it keeping your brain engaged? Is it keeping your brain awake? Or is it things on your TV that, or even on your phone, that contribute to helping you go to sleep? When I have a hard time sleeping, I put on different podcasts on my phone, and I have my phone next to the bed and I turn it down so it's just very low, muffled. It's not loud or invasive, but maybe it's just like sleep stories or different types of podcasts, or maybe you like different sounds like the ocean or rain or thunderstorms or a campfire. I love to put YouTube on my TV in my bedroom with a campfire on it. And I like to hear the crackling and the sound of the fire. And it illuminates my room with this really nice ambiance. Think about what you're doing in regards to your routine at nighttime. and how much blue screen time you're having right before you go to bed. Also, maybe some routines that are relaxing for you, maybe reading or taking a nice hot bath, some light exercise like yoga or something that's not going to get your heart going and your cardio going. That's great for in the morning or during the day to get that blood flowing, but you don't want to be doing that at night before you go to bed. Light exercise, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of yoga can be very relaxing. And like I said, a bath and or reading. Also, watching how much you're drinking. If you're anything like me, drinking water late in the day or other beverages late in the day is going to potentially have you up going to the bathroom multiple times. And while I'm talking about drinking, I will mention alcohol as well. If you're drinking and consuming large amounts of alcohol in the evening and then going to bed, first of all, when you do go to sleep, you're not really getting that good restful sleep that you need to feel refreshed and feel rejuvenated the next day. You're basically, if you're drinking large amounts of alcohol in the evening before you go to bed, you're passing out. You're not going to sleep. So your brain is anesthetized from alcohol and you'll go to sleep, but it's not really that good restful sleep that we need to feel rested, and your body needs to be able to repair and energize your organs. So limiting the amount of alcohol that you're drinking, I would say after dinner time. Having a drink with dinner, having a cocktail after work, or having a glass of wine with dinner, that's no problem whatsoever. But if you're drinking large amounts of alcohol in the evening and then going to bed with, that's going to definitely interrupt your sleep. Practicing stress management. I talked about earlier about how mental health can really interrupt our sleep, and anxiety, stressors over the course of the day. I would even say things like grief, loneliness, those types of things that can contribute to depression, anxiety, poor stress management can really affect our sleep. So if you're in need, if you have chronic stress, chronic anxiety, grief that you're working through, that you feel stuck, I would really implore you to find a therapist, find a group, find a support group, find a mental health professional to work through that with. Many times, a lot of these mental health conditions are situational. They're not chronic, lifelong conditions. Not that there aren't people who experience long term, lifelong, medically managed mental health conditions, but there's sometimes in life that we just find ourselves in bad situations and we just need a little help for a little while. And even some medications can be helpful for people for short term situational depression or other mental health conditions. I'm not a mental health professional. I want to make sure that anyone watching this is aware that I'm not a mental health counselor. I'm also not a mental health practitioner or medical provider, but I've worked with many people who have had mental health conditions, and many times when they're able to work through the situation that they may be going through, they're able to manage that and not have to be on medications for their whole life. So I would just encourage anyone who's experiencing mental health difficulties that you consult with a mental health professional to be able to assess what would be the best course of action for you. And so those are the tips that I wanted to provide for you today. And hopefully that will be helpful for you. The last tip that I wanted to just invite you to be part of is social connections. And social connections and loneliness are really imperative to a healthy lifestyle, including our sleep. And being a part of YouTube, being a part of this community, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I would love to build a community of like-minded individuals who are in pre-retirement, who are working towards that day of freedom, who can share their experiences and their strength with us, and to also provide that social connection that is so important, to our well-being, our sleep included. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope you found this to be helpful. My wish for you is for you to have a wonderful night's sleep and wake up feeling excited for the day and ready to tackle whatever it has to offer. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.